Welcome back to the Take a Sip podcast. My name is Tito.
And I'm Leche.
And as Leche,
As Leche,
always,
I love it.
as always, Leche, what are you sipping on this week?
I am drinking of a sombrero. So for the people who don't know what a sombrero is, it's literally just Kahlua with any type of cream. I chose to go with Irish cream, just Bailey's Irish cream. So I'm drinking that. And how about you, Tito?
I'm just sticking with the plain old Corona.
Oh yeah, dude. Keep it to the classics.
Just the classics. And for this week, for you listeners, we have quite the Nintendo full episode.
Yeah, seriously, Nintendo came packing this week.
Mm-hmm. But before we get into that, there is one movie trailer that we both saw. Well, Leche mostly saw it and he sent it to me and we both just want to talk about it. So the film that's coming out is called Stray's Red Band. It's their first official trailer. And do you want to try to explain this trailer, Leche? Because
I like to think about it. It's the R-rated of the old movies that we used to watch in the 90s, Homeward Bound. I don't know if people
Homeward
remember
Bound,
that about the
two dogs and a cat.
And the cat, yeah, trying to go home. Pretty much that. Think about that. Just very vulgar. Very, very fucking vulgar.
I mean, Jamie Foxx is leading one of our main roles in this film.
Yeah, dude. So, I mean, I thought it was funny. I was like, dude, I think this movie's going to be great. You know, like, I just, something like this was needed. Something comedic. I don't know, because I'm not a big comedian type of movie type of fan. Mm-hmm. So, but this movie definitely caught my attention.
You're definitely right. It's definitely one of those movies where whether you watch it, it's gonna be good. Whether you just have it in the back of your house, in the back of the house, just to like turn your brain off, is also gonna be really good. Mm-hmm. Like you said, very comedic. It's one of those that's probably gonna be a little over comedic, so it might be fun the first two times, and then I'll slowly start getting like, yeah, they said this. Oh yeah, they said
it gets
that.
Repetitive and old real quick.
Yeah. So the whole premise, from what we could tell in this film, is a dog who his owner is not a really big fan of his, and tries to abandon him multiple times, but the puppy somehow manages to come back home. So until one day, as the trailer shows, he just takes him into the big city, leaves him wherever, and drives off. Here he meets the band of stray dogs, and he comes to realize that he has now been abandoned. So it is not. This is literally this dog's villain origin story, because it literally tells you at the front. The whole point of this movie is to get back home and bite this guy's dick off. Which is a complete 180 from what this dog was like 2 minutes before he said this.
Yeah, like he loved his owner, even though his owner literally, I want to say, literally abuses him.
Abused and abandoned him.
Mistreats him like crazy. But he loves him. You know, that just shows the realistic like passion of a dog to a human for sure.
Yeah.
And just how us humans sometimes are just dickheads to animals.
They really are. But yeah, I mean, there's that. Definitely recommend to watch the trailer. It is age-restricted trailer, so unless you have a YouTube that says you are 18 years of age, you won't be able to watch it. But I think it's funny. Like you said, I think it's going to be great, especially in this time right now that we are in. But yeah, that's really it for that trailer.
Yeah, that was just a quick little comedic thing to add because, yeah, like I said, I'm not a big comedy fan and it caught my attention for sure. So here's for that to hope that it's good. So
yeah, for sure. And now really heading into our Nintendo stuff, which they did. Was it a showcase, a Nintendo showcase that came out recently, or was this just like? Because I know they also had like a bunch of major leaks that came out recently as well.
I think it was their Nintendo Direct like showcase that they do every year, but I thought it was a little early. Maybe they're just showing previews of games they have the line for later in 2023. And then they show more trailers and further things down the pipeline for Nintendo Direct that they do in the summer. No, not summer, spring. So I think that's what what this is. It's just like, hey, this is what we're working on so far. This is just an update pretty much from Nintendo on what's going on. And for some new pipelines that they think are ready to launch soon. So
right. Yeah, so I mean, the first major thing that I know a lot of people are a big fan of because it's such a long time running game series is Metroid. And within that, they had Metroid Prime, which is like the first time we really go into an FPS version for Metroid because it's always been like a 2D platformer type of game. So now with Metroid Prime, they're now doing Metroid Prime Remastered. So it is the second time they are remastering a full Metroid game.
So the funny part is Nintendo saw how good the remake, the remake train is going. And they're like, we got to capitalize on this shit too, bro.
Yeah,
so they're like, if Resident Evil could do it, if EA could do it with Dead Space, if Call of Duty could do it, if Activision could do it with Call of Duty, why can't we do it with our shit, right?
Yeah, for sure.
I don't blame them. I really don't. They already perfected it back in the day. What stops them from remaking a game that was already really fantastic, right? That's what I say, right? And that was my mindset for Dead Space. So I'm putting the same mindset for this. It was a beloved Metroid game, Metroid Prime. Definitely a lot of people fucking loved it back when it came out for the GameCube. So I don't see why this wouldn't do well as well, especially being a beloved game, a classic game for the game. So it looks cool.
Yeah, and there is a video in the YouTube verse where somebody grabbed the new footage that we saw for Metroid Prime and put it side by side with the old Metroid Prime from the GameCube. And it's literally most of it is a 1-for-1. It is just smoothing out the edges, upping the color schemes, obviously doing the shadows and the lighting better. But it looks incredible, even to the main home screen where you originally like press new game, start whatever, load game. It all looks super great. And even Ridley looks like he got a major fucking upgrade too in the game.
Oh yeah, majorly. Like you could tell like the amount of detail that they actually remastered it completely. You get me? And it's definitely a 1-for-1 like remake, which is good, I guess, in the sense. But not only do people just want like a beloved game remade, of course, they want to see innovation in that game at the same time.
Yeah.
So I'm hoping it's not just a 1-for-1. You got me? So I know as a good example, the Resident Evil game, right? Like the remakes that they do, not only, of course, they're graphically way better. The story's a little bit more fleshed out because they're able to put more story into it. But they're also add other components that didn't really make sense at the time and really flesh them out this time. So hopefully they do the same thing for this game as well. Same thing for Dead Space. They literally flushed out a lot of things that were missing from the original and implemented into the remake. So here's that for hoping that it happens with this game as well.
Yeah. And like we said, it's majorly beloved by such a great community, as is most Nintendo games, right? And specifically another one that's very beloved by like most Nintendo fans, because I like watching the games. I never fully played one myself, but that leads into Legend of Zelda. We see Tears of a Kingdom, right? So their next major title, which within that itself, the gameplay hurt itself. I know there's been a little bit of back and forth between some of the community. I know, like I said, I haven't played it myself, but I do hear a lot of Zelda players and do follow a whole bunch of like Zelda stuff online, where it's very 50-50 in going into this game. I know their fans are very excited that they're getting another Zelda game, right?
Yeah.
But from what they're saying, they're saying that graphics are not up to par as it was for Breath of the Wild. It doesn't look as interesting of a storyline as Breath of the Wild was. And it's going to be a little difficult with how open world it really is, considering with how much fly mechanics from area to area there really is.
Mm-hmm.
So, I mean, there's that stuff. I don't know if you've heard anything.
Yeah,
recently.
no, I heard that they're worried about like the air travel because of how expansive is the actual air. You get me? Like the skies, like the skyboxes, like how far can we actually go in this world? Because if it's all in the sky, like we're jumping literally city to city in the freaking sky, how expansive is it truly? You get me?
Yeah.
Is it the same scope as Breath of the Wild? By some community members, they're saying it's not. That there's no way that they can do that without really pushing the Switch to its absolute limit. You got me? Which they possibly can be, right? Or maybe this is a game meant specifically to be played on the OLED.
Oh, LED.
Oh yeah, OLED. Sorry, OLED, if you will.
The OLED.
But yeah, I mean, a lot of people are concerned, but I mean, they're optimistic but concerned, right? I think that's the full vibe of how I'm getting this game from the community.
Yes.
They're optimistic because it's another Zelda game. Don't get me wrong; it's more content with their favorite character, right?
Yeah.
They're just worried that it's not gonna break their expectations of innovating from where they left off from Breath of the Wild, which is a hard thing to be at this point, in my opinion, because that was such a freaking fantastic game. So
for sure. And even with this, saying this for Tears of the Kingdom, with all this back and forth already on how much the gameplay and storyline is actually going to be better and updated from Breath of the Wild. Another point to take in is that they're upping the price for this Zelda game to cost $69.99 or $70, if you will. Which I know is also a major thing right now, because most games that we pay for are either like $55 to $60. So upping a whole $10 for a brand new game is also kind of up in the air right now on how people are going to take this in the community.
That's just adding more wood to the fire, if you will.
Yeah,
that's going on. So yeah, them charging more. I mean, it's not the first. It's probably the first Nintendo game that I heard that's up in its amount for a game in a very long time. So I can see the concern for people, especially if they're used to buying games from Nintendo, brand new AAA games, like any Mario Kart or anything like that, Zelda, Kirby, whatever from Nintendo. They're used to only spend like $60-$50, like you said. And this is the first time they actually have to spend a little bit more of $70. There's definitely a big hit to them. You get me, big news hit to them.
Yeah.
But in the scope of all gaming, this is not the first time a game company that's charging a AAA game that's in their spectrum $70. Back in the day, back in 2019, when which one was it? One of the Call of Duties came out that it was going to be $70.
Oh.
But the only reason why it was $70, I think, is because the initial game was only meant to be $50, and then it was $20 for, I think, a remake of MW2, Modern Warfare 2, the original MW2.
That's right. Yeah.
So that's why it was worth it at that time, because even though it was the multiplayer for one thing and just the campaign for, it was two separate things that you were buying, technically speaking. So it was justifiable at the time. And I know last year, Microsoft and Bethesda, they confirmed to us that going forward, any of their AAA games, like anything on their repertoire is going to be $70 going forward, because they told us straight up that games are getting more expensive to make because of the graphics, all the ask for games now. The scopes of the games are definitely increasing. You get me? Because they're in high demand. So they told us straight up on why they're doing it. Nintendo has not given us that luxury yet of telling us why they're charging more, unfortunately. So right now, that's why there's a lot of speculation on that. So
yeah, so it's going to be definitely interesting, like you said, seeing these AAA titled games coming out. If a whole bunch of them are getting remastered, right? Let alone we're still getting. That leads me into our next topic, where a whole bunch of older games are now coming back into the Switch. So they're going as far back as getting the Game Boy and Game Boy Advance games and titles into the Switch, right? As part of like the shop. Which one is super fucking exciting, right? We get to play old school games, and it shows that we can actually switch our screen mode into 3 different modes, right? So the green background screen, the light grayish white screen, but still with the black outlines of all of these things, because this was before we got color in our games. And even to the regular, here's your old school color palette, but still refreshed in a way, right? Like what they're doing with Metroid Prime. And within this, we get a whole bunch of titles. We get like the original Tetris. We're getting the original, I believe, 2 Zelda games, like the first 2 Zelda games, which are part of like the confirmed stuff, like the old school Mario Kart and all that stuff. But then they're obviously saying, with depending on how well all of this stuff goes, there's a possibility we might get even other titles added back into this, right? And we kind of already spoke about this off screen a little bit, where we both are super excited to see if they bring back our original Pokemon games.
Hell yeah, dude.
Blue, red, and gold, or yellow, right?
Dude, freaking blue, red, yellow,
silver,
silver, gold. Like, goddamn, bring all those babies back. Dude, that's going to sell me, dude, for sure. If those games come back for the Game Boy, regular Game Boy Color one. Yeah. For the Advance, oh no, dude.
Oh, that's even the truth. Which catalog. I mean, is the catalog, exactly. And even bringing back like the old school Pokemon TCG game, the trading card game, which I told you like I would so be down to play again, because I remember having the game but not understanding it. So having the knowledge I have now to get back into that game and play.
Yeah, I remember it wasn't recent, but it was like a good, like I want to say like 6 years ago. I remember finding literally my Nintendo Advance SP, finding that game in particular, slotting it in and playing it. And I'm like, oh, this is weird because you played it literally like how you would in real life a little bit. So you couldn't like attack until you put like actual energies onto like Pokemons and stuff. Yep. It was very, very fucking slow and weird to play and difficult as fuck though.
Yeah.
At least they confirmed that Pokemon game's coming back, you know?
Yes. That's and with a lot of these games, obviously, like I said, even for like the original Mario Kart, right? Because they are bringing it to the Switch, and the Switch is very online type of status game. There will be they are adding all the multiplayer co-op type of stuff to the games that are able to have that on, right?
Yeah. No more LAN parties.
Yeah. So with Pokemon TCG, you should be able to battle with friends if they make that possible. Mario Kart, obviously, up to 4 people, I believe, get to be racing all together. I believe they said they're bringing a lot of like Mr. Game & Watch games, like the mini games type of stuff. So that's also going to be multiplayer.
Dude, I just want them to confirm or give us a list, because I want to see the 5 games I'm waiting for the Game Boy Advance, bro. Just give me Ruby, Sapphire, Emerald, Leaf Green, and Fire Red, bro. Just say they're there. That's all I want.
Well, it's going to be...
But they won't, because they know how expensive and how the community will fucking go in an uproar if those games are there, bro.
Yeah,
Honestly.
but it's also going to be difficult because we have to remember. Well, I know how you said Ruby and Sapphire, but I don't know if they'll be doing that considering they already made Omega Ruby and Alpha Sapphire. So if those will even qualify in the original stuff, I know it is different because of the mega evolutions they did in that game.
I mean, I could throw the same logic back, I guess, in my counter argument. Why would we do that for Leaf Green and Fire Red if we already had blue and red?
What do you mean?
Not a fair assessment, I guess.
Yeah, no, because at that point they didn't have their little gimmicks,
but they were remakes technically, though, right?
They're remakes.
And they didn't have the same mechanics at that time. That's what I'm saying. It's the same logic, right?
What do you mean, same mechanics?
No, it's not. It wasn't the same. There was like a whole new registry of Pokemons and move compared to what we had originally from blue and red.
Yes, but you see, even doing that modernized the game to be a staple to what we have now. Whereas in Mega Evolutions, Dynamax, Gigantamax, Terra Realization, whatever the fuck it's called now.
Crystallization, if you will.
Crystallization. Those aren't really staples. They're just little gimmicks that they're doing for now, right?
But why would they implement that if those, technically speaking, what they're introducing is emulators within your own your Switch. So I don't see why they would have an issue just returning those games, right? If they're just emulators, technically speaking.
True. I don't know. It's interesting.
I feel like I'm complaining for no reason, even though they're probably going to bring those games back.
That's what I'm saying. but it's an interesting conversation to have. You get me? Because the whole thing too, if we're really going off like Pokemon lore, right? In X and Y, when that giant guy you meet that has the weird Flabébé.
I mean, I think going into the actual Pokemon lore doesn't really apply here. I'm talking about just like systematically, I don't see why they wouldn't do that if they're returning most of these games. I don't know. Maybe they're not going to return all the games. Of course, them returning these specific games aren't going to be free, right?
Yeah.
It would be another chance for them to charge those. And people would happily, myself included, happily pay $30, $40 to get those games again. You got me?
True. Oh, excuse me.
No, but I get what you mean. You're concerned because
even if they do a remake, the most they would probably do is just an Emerald remake, just to not go through the whole process. Well, like a remastered version, I'm saying, or like an updated version where they bring it to light, right? Because if we really had the option of what would you rather play, Ruby, Sapphire, or Emerald, most people are gonna say Emerald. Right? Because
if we have to vote for one, it would be Emerald for sure.
Exactly. So that's what they might just end up doing. Like, even though we technically had our remakes of Ruby and Sapphire, the only game they might be bringing forward from this announcement, anyways, is going to be Emerald.
I get what you mean.
Without
they don't want to overlap for games they already have.
Exactly.
Okay. So the games that I would want to see then, if we're gonna not overlap anything, technically speaking, so I wouldn't even include the original. I wouldn't include the original three, then blue, red, and yellow. I would want Crystal there because that one was the only different one. Crystal. I wouldn't even include silver or freaking gold either, because those guys have remakes. I would want Leaf Green and Fire Red because the only reason why I say those guys in particular is those were different and those were a remake of those original blue and red, but they were systematically different and more vibrant. So I would want to include those, and we don't actually have remakes currently of that old stuff, and those are technically the remakes, right?
Yeah, no, well that's true, but you also got it like I'm agreeing with everything you're saying, 100%. Because we also got to remember in the original 3 games. Correct me if I'm wrong. I believe in blue, red, and yellow, there was no special attack or physical attack. It was all
there was
just
no differentiation.
It was all just physical, right? It was all just the typing
literally
stuff. Leaf Green and Fire Red.
Mm-hmm.
Where we started getting that differentiation.
Ruby and Sapphire came out before Leaf Green and Fire Red, and it came there.
So then Ruby and Sapphire.
Yes.
Yeah.
That's when we got the new system. But since we already got remakes out of them, that's why I said Leaf Green and Fire Red.
Yes.
We're in agreement. We're just talking about it. It's for people who are confused on this conversation.
Yes.
We're just clarifying that, we're in the same page.
Yes.
But we're very excited that we want these games back to, Nintendo's doing a great job, honestly, because this is what they want. They want the community to talk about the old games, the classics that they used to play as kids being remade into the Switch. You get me?
Yes.
So they're doing a fantastic job, in my opinion, because it's definitely making me talk a lot.
No, for sure. And like I said, it's not just, we just nerded out completely for one genre, for one game, which is Pokemon. And like we said, even they're bringing back like a whole bunch of the old school Mario 2D platformers, right? Super Mario Bros, Super Mario Bros World, the original
Super Mario World 4, bro. For that was the classic. Tito. That's the shit.
Yeah.
I would love to play that shit fucking back too, yo. Holy crap.
Super Mario Adventures. I know they're bringing back like the whole Warrior World, like all the mini games as well.
A lot of people love that Wario World shit, dude. Like the mini game shit. Yeah.
And a bunch of other like little classic games that we never heard of, like the Kururin, which is like
Golden Axe. I know is a very beloved franchise too. Golden Axe is coming back as well.
Yeah, and they're bringing back. I believe there was one from like the original Game Boy where it was like a murder mystery type of game. Right. So you have to like click around, get details, and then like figure out what the main problem was. So again, a whole bunch of titles. There's literally probably something for everyone, depending on how far back you really want to go into. And again, this is just what they're announcing right now. I know there was possibly a talk of Kirby, and the Amazing Mirror coming back, the original Fire Emblem, F-Zero, which I believe is another type of fighting game, racing game, sorry. And even with the remastering of Metroid Prime, they're still going to, I believe in the lineup is the original Metroid Prime. So it would be cool to compare and contrast if you play both at the same time, right? So, I mean,
I just like how it's going to feel weird playing 8-bit game that we used to play in a little handheld, little cube with our big ass HD fucking screens of a fucking Nintendo Switch.
Yeah.
It's going to feel very, very interesting because the screen used to be so tiny, bro. I'm talking about a 3x3 fucking screen, bro. No, sorry, not even a 3x3. It was a
2x2.
2x3, bro. Straight up, like 2 inches across and fucking 3 down.
Yeah,
and bro, that's all you had. You got me. But now we're playing with a display set of freaking at least a foot by freaking 8 inches, bro.
Well, I was gonna say, not even that. We actually get it in a handheld that has backlight, and we don't have to buy this little attachment. True, bro. This little attachment that you connect to the side of your Game Boy side of your Game Boy to light up your screen that then puts a glare on your screen. And not to mention it drains your batteries so fast too. So unless you're physically saving so often.
We're not talking about rechargeable batteries. We're talking about physical batteries. Double
A batteries.
Like straight up.
And I still believe that the old school Game Boys took like a D battery, no?
No, it was double.
Those are still double? Okay. I was like, wait, one of them had a double, a D, but no, but yeah, like again, like it's gonna be so weird playing these old school games again. But again, it's that whole nostalgia factor, right? And us just talking about it right now, like we're still so fucking pumped for this shit. Ugh. And I think we're gonna leave it at that. This might be a shorter episode than normal. But yeah, I mean, any last thing to add, Leche?
On my end, nah, not really. It's just I'm excited that all these remasters for games are coming, and I'm here for them as long as they do them justice, dude. That's all I care for. As long as they do them justice.
Mm-hmm. From my end, I wish I kind of went into it a little bit, but I just saw it like last minute. There is like a Bayonetta Origins and the First Demon or something like that. I wish I got the name better of it, which is also going to be like a 2D platformer, like side scroll type of game, which is going to be new for Bayonetta, right?
Yeah,
and we get the origins of like her powers, and it's a little more cartoonish than what we have right now for Bayonetta. So I'm definitely excited to see that. That's actually something I might play, to be honest with you. That seems more my style of game. But yeah, that's really it. Leche, where can people find you?
People can find me at twitch.technofreak95, or you guys can find me at Instagram at Leche Minuesa. And how about you, Tito?
I am also on Instagram at OneAlphaPenguin and also on twitch.tv/OneAlphaPenguin. You guys can follow the podcast on Instagram at takeasip_pod, or even subscribe to the YouTube channel, youtube.com/takeasip. As always, the same picture that you guys see on the podcast is the same throughout all the social medias. If we ever update it, it will be updated all together at once. Excuse me, beer burps. Okay, sorry. I was back. And on that note, thank you guys so much for listening. We super highly appreciate it. Drink some water, go outside, have some fresh air, and we will see you all next week. Bye-bye.
Bye, guys.